There's a deadly condition called bloat and torsion caused by food in the stomach combined with stress or exercise. I can explain that if you want.
Burt Ward became a television icon when he stepped into the role of Robin on Batman '66. But what happened behind the scenes was often far more unbelievable than anything shown on screen. From dangerous stunts and unexpected friendships to shocking encounters during the show's peak, Ward has spent years revealing stories that fans never knew. Some made headlines, while others stayed hidden for decades. Join us as we uncover Burt Ward's wildest stories from the Batman '66 TV series and find out what really happened behind the cape and mask. From comic book fan to Robin. Long before millions of people knew him as Robin, Burt Ward was simply Burt John Jervis Jr., a young boy growing up in Los Angeles, California. Born on July 6, 1945, he grew up in a family that encouraged hard work and trying new things. His father owned a traveling ice show called Rhapsody on Ice, and that unusual family business gave Burt an opportunity that very few children ever experienced. He became a professional ice skater when he was only 2 years old. At an age when most children were just learning to walk confidently, Burt was already performing on the ice. His talent attracted attention, and he was even featured in Strange as It Seems, a magazine that highlighted unusual stories from around the world. During this time, he earned the nickname Sparky. When the lights inside the skating rink were turned off, he had a trick where he clicked his skates together to create bright sparks. It became something people remembered him for long before he ever thought about acting. Away from the ice rink, Burt had another passion that would shape his future. He loved comic books. Like many children of the 1950s, he collected them, traded them with friends, and spent hours reading about superheroes. While he enjoyed many different comics, Superman and Superboy were always his favorites. His love for Superman was strengthened by watching The Adventures of Superman starring George Reeves on television. Batman was another hero he admired, although at that point, he never imagined he would one day wear Robin's famous costume. As he grew older, sports became another important part of his life. In high school, he joined the track team, played football, and competed in wrestling. These activities helped him become fast, strong, and disciplined. Around the same time, he discovered martial arts. After taking a few karate classes, he became fascinated with the training and eventually focused on Taekwondo. He trained seriously and worked his way up to a brown belt. Those athletic skills would later become one of the biggest reasons he stood out during the Robin auditions. After graduating from high school, Burt enrolled in college, while also earning his real estate license. His plan was practical. He intended to work in his father's real estate business while continuing his education. Acting was not part of his career plans. He had never taken acting lessons, performed in plays, or imagined himself becoming a television star. While living in an apartment building filled with aspiring actors and performers, his life took an unexpected turn. One neighbor who caught his attention was a young martial artist named Bruce Lee. At the time, neither man was famous. They became friends because they shared an interest in martial arts. They often talked together, and Bruce even invited Burt to his apartment for dinner with his family, where Burt met Bruce's wife and their baby son, Brandon Lee. Burt always remembered Bruce as someone whose martial arts skills were far beyond his own, but that never affected their friendship. They explored Chinatown together, shared meals, and simply enjoyed spending time together. Years later, both men would become television stars, but at that time, they were just two young men trying to build their futures. Everything changed in 1965 when Burt overheard other aspiring actors talking excitedly about a new television series based on Batman. They were preparing for auditions and discussing which talent agencies represented them. Burt immediately became interested. He loved comic books and thought appearing in a Batman television show sounded exciting. There was only one problem. He had no acting experience and no agent. Instead of giving up, Burt simply walked into a talent agency and asked if he could audition. The staff were surprised. Most people spent years building acting careers before seeking major television roles. Burt admitted he had never acted before. After some confusion, the agency eventually told him where the auditions were being held. When he arrived, he filled out the paperwork like everyone else. On the form asking for his agency, he simply wrote down the name of the agency he had visited. Under special skills, he listed his athletic background, football, wrestling, and taekwondo training. His first audition went well enough that he was invited back the next day. Then he was asked to return again to demonstrate stunt work. Wanting to make the strongest impression possible, Burt brought a friend to spar with him and even brought a wooden board so he could demonstrate breaking it with his hand. His confidence, energy, and athletic ability impressed everyone watching. Producer William Dozier immediately noticed that Burt had exactly the youthful enthusiasm they wanted for Robin. After several rounds of testing, the final decision came down to only a handful of actors. Burt narrowly won the role of Robin, while Adam West was chosen to play Batman. Before the series premiered, Burt made one final change. He altered the spelling of his first name from Burt to Burt because he thought it looked better on screen. He also replaced his surname, Jervis, with Ward, using his mother's maiden name after people frequently mispronounced Jervis. That simple decision marked the beginning of a career that would change his life forever. But getting the role was only the beginning, because playing Robin quickly became far more dangerous than Burt ever expected. His first audition went well enough that he was invited back the next day. Then he was asked to return again to demonstrate stunt work. Wanting to make the strongest impression possible, Burt brought a friend to spar with him and even brought a wooden board so he could demonstrate breaking it with his hand. His confidence, energy, and athletic ability impressed everyone watching. Producer William Dozier immediately noticed that Burt had exactly the youthful enthusiasm they wanted for Robin. After several rounds of testing, the final decision came down to only a handful of actors. Burt narrowly won the role of Robin, while Adam West was chosen to play Batman. Before the series premiered, Burt made one final change. He altered the spelling of his first name from Burt to Burt because he thought it looked better on screen. He also replaced his surname, Jervis, with Ward, using his mother's maiden name after people frequently mispronounced Jervis. That simple decision marked the beginning of a career that would change his life forever. But getting the role was only the beginning, because playing Robin quickly became far more dangerous than Burt ever expected. Fame arrived overnight. When Batman premiered in January 1966, it became an instant hit. Almost overnight, Burt Ward went from being an unknown young man with no acting experience to one of the most recognizable faces on television. The series attracted huge audiences from its very first episodes, and the excitement surrounding the show grew at an incredible pace. Everywhere people looked, Batman and Robin seemed to be taking over popular culture. The studio had worked hard to make sure everyone knew about the new series. It launched one of the biggest promotional campaigns television had seen at the time. Advertisements appeared everywhere, and television stations heavily promoted the show before it even aired. By the time the first episodes reached viewers, curiosity was already at an all-time high. Once audiences finally saw the colorful costumes, comic book action, and unusual style of the show, they were hooked. Ratings climbed quickly, making Batman one of the biggest television successes of the 1960s. Part of the show's success came from the fact that it appealed to so many different people. Young children loved watching Batman, and Robin stop criminals and save Gotham City. They enjoyed the exciting adventures, the gadgets, and the colorful villains. Adults who had grown up reading Batman comics also found something to enjoy. For many of them, seeing familiar characters brought to life on television was exciting. Meanwhile, teenagers and college students appreciated the show's campy humor, exaggerated action, and playful dialogue. Even many adults who normally did not watch superhero stories enjoyed the series because of its light-hearted style and clever jokes. With audiences from nearly every age group tuning in, the popularity of Batman continued to grow. That success also meant Burt Ward and Adam West became extremely busy away from the television studio. During filming, their schedules were already demanding, but once a season finished shooting, their work was far from over. The studio wanted to keep public excitement high until production began again. To do that, Batman and Robin traveled across America almost constantly, making personal appearances wherever they were needed. These promotional tours became a major part of Burt's life. The studio organized every detail. Travel arrangements, hotels, and events were all carefully planned. Burt and Adam would arrive in a city and usually spend several days there before moving on to the next destination. The first day often involved visiting the local television station that broadcast Batman. They would film short promotional clips, meet station executives, and help encourage viewers to continue watching the series. The second day usually focused on schools. Burt and Adam would appear in full costume as Batman and Robin, visiting classrooms or speaking to large groups of children during school assemblies. For many young fans, meeting their favorite heroes in person became an unforgettable memory. The third day often featured large public events. They appeared in parades as grand marshals, attended shopping center grand openings, visited department stores, and posed for thousands of photographs. Sometimes the famous Batmobile joined them, making the events even bigger attractions. Wherever they went, enormous crowds gathered. Children wanted autographs, parents wanted photographs, and reporters wanted interviews. Burt quickly learned that being Robin meant very little privacy. Although these appearances looked exciting from the outside, they also required tremendous energy. Traveling from city to city every week became physically exhausting. Long flights, packed schedules, constant interviews, and endless public events left very little time to rest. At only 20 years old, Burt suddenly found himself living a life that few people could prepare for. One moment, he had been a college student planning a career in real estate. The next, he was recognized almost everywhere he went. As exciting as the attention was, adjusting to sudden fame was not always easy. Every public appearance required him to be smiling, energetic, and enthusiastic, even when he was tired or dealing with personal problems. Unfortunately, those personal struggles began almost as quickly as his career took off. During the same period that Batman was becoming one of television's biggest hits, Burt's first marriage to Bonnie Lindsay was falling apart. The couple had welcomed their daughter, Lisa, but the pressures of his demanding schedule and rapidly changing life placed enormous strain on their relationship. Only months after their daughter was born, Burt and Bonnie filed for divorce. The end of his marriage was deeply painful. Behind the smiles he showed fans at public appearances, he was dealing with heartbreak and disappointment. Rather than stepping away from work, Burt made the opposite choice. He accepted as many promotional events as possible and stayed constantly busy. Traveling, filming interviews, meeting fans, and attending appearances gave him something else to focus on, instead of thinking about his personal life. Keeping his schedule full became his way of coping with everything happening away from the cameras. The public rarely saw that side of his life. To fans, he remained the cheerful boy wonder who always seemed full of energy. But behind the scenes, Burt was learning that fame brought just as many challenges as opportunities. And as his popularity continued to grow, his life off-camera became even wilder than anything viewers ever saw on Batman. The strangest stories were still to come, and some of them sounded too unbelievable to be true. The craziest story Burt ever told. Many years after Batman ended, Burt Ward surprised fans by sharing stories that had never been told during the show's original run. In 1995, he published his memoir, My Life in Tights, and it quickly became known for its honest and often shocking behind-the-scenes stories. While readers expected memories about filming the famous television series, many were surprised by just how wild life had become once Burt and Adam West turned into household names. According to Ward, one of the biggest surprises was discovering that the attention wasn't just focused on Batman. At first, he assumed Adam West, who played the title character, would naturally receive most of the fan attention. Adam certainly had plenty of admirers wherever they traveled. But once Burt joined him on promotional tours across the United States, he realized Robin had developed a huge following as well. Ward was only around 20 years old during the height of the show's popularity. He was still adjusting to life as a television star when he began noticing that women were going out of their way to meet him. Many simply wanted an autograph or a photograph, but others were much more direct about their intentions. To Burt's surprise, many of these admirers were not young fans. He later recalled that a large number of the women who approached him were older than he was, often in their 30s or 40s. Some were even married. At first, he said he did not always realize that. As the promotional tours continued, however, he quickly understood that his new celebrity status attracted all kinds of attention. The studio kept Batman and Robin constantly traveling from city to city, attending public appearances, school visits, television interviews, and community events. After spending all day meeting fans, Burt and Adam would return to their hotels, but that often did not mean the attention had stopped. Ward said some women found creative ways to contact him. They would quietly slip handwritten notes into his hand during public appearances, or find other ways to pass him their phone numbers. After a while, he admitted that he began responding the same way. He kept small notes with him and would write back, arranging to meet later after the day's events had ended. Looking back, Ward openly admitted that he was young, newly famous, and caught up in the excitement surrounding the show. He found himself living a life that was completely different from anything he had experienced before Batman. One story from those years became the most unforgettable of them all. During one promotional tour, Burt invited a woman to his hotel room after one of the day's appearances. Everything seemed perfectly normal until there was a loud pounding on the hotel door. Someone outside was shouting angrily and threatening to kill whoever was inside. Burt rushed to the door and looked through the peephole. All he could see was the chest of a very large man standing outside. The shouting continued, and it quickly became clear that the man believed his wife was inside the room. Ward immediately turned to the woman and asked if she was married. She insisted she was not, and claimed she had no idea who the angry man was. The pounding on the door became even more violent. Burt knew opening it would be a terrible idea, so he picked up the phone and called the room next door, where Adam West was staying. He asked Adam if he could hear the noise. Adam jokingly replied, "Don't worry, Robin. Batman will save you." Feeling confident, Adam opened his own hotel room door to see what was happening. The moment the angry man noticed him, he started walking straight toward Adam instead. Adam quickly slammed his door shut, locked it again, and returned to the phone. His confidence disappeared almost instantly. According to Burt, Adam simply said the man was enormous and told him to get out of the room as fast as possible. Before Burt could think of another plan, the angry husband kicked the hotel room door so hard that it nearly gave way. There was only one escape route left. Burt quickly pulled on his underwear, while the woman grabbed a few clothes of her own. They rushed through the sliding glass door at the back of the room, which opened onto the ground floor courtyard. Just as they escaped outside, another powerful kick finally forced the hotel room door open. The chase was on. The woman ran in one direction while Burt ran in another. Wearing nothing but his underwear, he sprinted across the hotel grounds, through the car park, and into the nearby streets, trying to stay ahead of the furious husband. By now, hotel guests had noticed the commotion. Staff called the police as people looked outside to see what was happening. When officers arrived, they found Burt running through the area in his underwear and placed him in a police car while they sorted out the situation. The truth turned out to be stranger than anyone expected. The angry husband had not caught Burt with his wife that night. According to Ward, he had actually met the same woman in a different city the previous week. She later admitted the encounter to her husband during an argument, and the husband became determined to find the television star. Somehow, he tracked the promotional tour to its next stop, located Burt's hotel, and confronted him there. Once everything finally calmed down, Adam West could not resist making jokes about the whole experience. Ward recalled Adam teasing him by saying he had learned an important lesson and should always check for a wedding ring before getting involved with anyone. If there was no ring, Adam joked, he should at least look for the mark where one had recently been removed. Years later, Burt laughed while telling the story, but he also admitted that the frightening experience changed the way he looked at fame, relationships, and the unexpected situations that celebrity could create. As unbelievable as those stories were, another memorable chapter was waiting when Burt reunited with an old friend named Bruce Lee. The Green Hornet Showdown. One of the most interesting stories from Burt Ward's time on Batman involved his longtime friend Bruce Lee. Their reunion during the famous Batman and the Green Hornet crossover has become one of the most talked about moments from the series. It was a story that mixed friendship, misunderstandings, television publicity, and one unforgettable fight scene. As Batman became one of television's biggest hits, the show's publicity department worked hard to promote its stars. Burt Ward's athletic background became a major selling point. Since he performed many of his own stunts, magazines and newspapers often described him as a martial arts expert. The problem was that many of those reports stretched the truth. Ward had trained seriously in Taekwondo and had reached the rank of brown belt before joining the series. However, some publicity materials mistakenly called him a black belt. Others claimed he was a black belt in karate instead of Taekwondo. At times, the terms karate, kung fu, and taekwondo were used almost interchangeably in advertisements and magazine articles, even though they are different martial arts. Television producers decided to create a crossover between Batman and the Green Hornet, another action series produced around the same time. The crossover was expected to attract huge audiences because it brought together two popular crime-fighting teams. For Burt, however, the crossover meant something even more personal. The Green Hornet's trusted partner, Kato, was played by none other than Bruce Lee. The two friends had not forgotten each other since their days living in the same apartment building before fame found them. But as filming approached, Burt began hearing rumors that Bruce was unhappy with the planned fight scene. According to the original script, Robin was supposed to defeat Kato during their confrontation. Bruce Lee strongly objected. He believed Kato should not lose outright, especially since audiences already knew him as an exceptionally skilled martial artist. Bruce insisted that if the fight happened, it should at least end in a draw. For a young actor who was still building his career in Hollywood, standing up to producers showed just how strongly he believed in protecting the credibility of his character. As Burt prepared for filming, he noticed something unusual. Whenever he saw Bruce on set, Bruce refused to acknowledge him. There was no smile, no greeting, and no conversation. Instead, Bruce looked at him with what Burt believed was obvious anger. Ward began worrying that the false publicity about his martial arts background had damaged their friendship. He feared Bruce thought he had personally claimed to be a world-class martial artist, when he knew that was not true. The misunderstanding weighed heavily on Burt. Losing the respect of someone he admired as much as Bruce Lee was the last thing he wanted. Then filming began. As soon as the director called for action, Bruce charged straight toward Burt with complete intensity. Burt instinctively stepped backward, and one of the crew members jokingly shouted that Robin looked like he was running away. At that exact moment, Bruce suddenly stopped. Instead of attacking, he burst into laughter. He walked over to Burt and gave him a big hug. The serious expression, the cold behavior, and the angry looks had all been part of a practical joke. Bruce admitted that members of the crew had encouraged him to pretend he was upset, just to see Burt's reaction. The prank instantly broke the tension. The two old friends laughed together, and Bruce explained that he was genuinely happy to see how far they had both come. Only a few years earlier, they had been neighbors practicing martial arts on their apartment balconies. Now they were starring in 2 nationally broadcast television series and sharing scenes together. Once the misunderstanding disappeared, filming the crossover became a memorable experience for everyone involved. The fight between Robin and Kato was carefully staged to satisfy both shows, allowing each character to remain believable without clearly losing. The sequence went on to become one of the most famous crossover moments in television history and remains a favorite among fans of both series. Looking back, Burt often said the entire experience reminded him of Bruce Lee's true character. Bruce was confident and protective of his craft, but he was also warm, loyal, and had a playful sense of humor. The prank showed that despite becoming famous, Bruce had not lost the friendly personality that first brought them together years earlier. But even after the cameras stopped rolling, Burt's life continued to take unexpected turns both on and off the screen. Romance, typecasting, and life after Batman ended. While Burt Ward was enjoying the success of Batman, his personal life continued to change just as quickly as his career. During the second season of the series, he met actress Kathy Kirsch, who appeared in 2 episodes titled The Impractical Joker and The Joker's Provokers. She played Cornelia, a young woman caught up in one of the Joker's schemes. The two spent time together while filming and quickly developed a relationship. Their romance moved fast, and before long, they decided to get married. At the time, Burt was still one of television's biggest young stars, and Kathy was building her own acting career with appearances on popular shows such as The Beverly Hillbillies, Burke's Law, My Favorite Martian, and The Man from UNCLE. Their marriage reflected the fast pace of Burt's life during those years. Everything seemed to happen quickly, from landing the role of Robin to becoming famous and then finding love on set. For a while, it appeared that things were falling into place. The couple even shared another unusual connection. Around the same time, both released music recordings. Burt's record, Boy Wonder, I Love You, was written by Frank Zappa and featured him reading romantic messages rather than singing in the traditional sense. Kathy also released a record, which Burt helped produce. Although neither recording became a major success, They remain interesting pieces of Batman history. Unfortunately, their marriage did not last. By 1969, the same year Batman came to an end, Burt and Kathy divorced. It was another difficult chapter in a life that had already included 2 failed marriages before he reached his mid-20s. The cancellation of Batman marked the end of one of television's biggest pop culture sensations. After 3 seasons, the series was taken off the air. Although the show had attracted enormous attention, ratings had begun to decline, and rising production costs also made it harder to continue. For Burt, the biggest challenge came after the cameras stopped rolling. Like many actors who become closely identified with one famous role, he found himself facing typecasting. To audiences around the world, he was Robin. Casting directors struggled to picture him as anyone else. Even though he wanted to take on different characters, many producers only saw the colorful sidekick from Gotham City. Finding major acting roles became much harder than he expected. Instead of starring in big television series or Hollywood films, Burt accepted work wherever he could find it. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, he appeared in dozens of low-budget horror, science fiction, and independent movies. Some were serious, while others embraced over-the-top stories and unusual characters. Although these films never reached the popularity of Batman, they allowed him to continue working as an actor during a difficult period. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video on Hollywood's most fascinating legends.